would be good. Okay, let's touch on some topics in Cardano Q&A, as we are primarily here to talk about crypto, but we have just touched on fossil fuels, home heat pumps, electric cars. Didn't quite get to space travel, but I'm sure that'll come up. So let me just start sharing my screen. And we can have a look at some of the topics I've got picked out for today. So for long-term listeners, I've spoken about AGIX token a fair bit. That is the token from SingularityNet, which is the artificial intelligence project that I rate, as it is very much focused on decentralized artificial intelligence, as opposed to purely siloed, behind paywall, privately owned artificial intelligence. So I like the idea. I understand the caution to be had with artificial intelligence, certainly, but it's coming, and it's coming at pace. So I think that to further ensure our safety as a species, our continuation, we probably need to have that in the hands of the many rather than in the hands of the few. Because like with finance, if you put it in the hands of the few, then they hold on to it and want to get more. And the same can be said for technology, for knowledge. The ability to translate, to print exploded the pace of development of our societies. The printing press was a drastic change. Before that, the knowledge was really siloed behind those who were able to afford the few bits of written text, and they spoke from them as oracles. Spread that out so everyone could read, everyone can have access to books, and we had a dramatic shift in the way that society was formed. And I think that that's really important to do, and particularly with access to technology that is hugely empowering, but also a threat, then we need to have more people involved in it than just a few. So artificial SingularityNet has that strong ethos in mind, and the way that they build out their tech and approach projects and funding for the projects that come along with good ideas is innovative. So I've talked a lot about Project Catalyst from the Cardano ecosystem. AGIX started out as a token on the Ethereum blockchain. Ben Goertzel, who's the founder of SingularityNet, he looked around at the chains when Cardano started to seek or started to grow its technical abilities. He really liked the approach, the academic approach that Cardano took, and so moved his token over onto Cardano. So now it's an AGIX is a native Cardano token, Cardano native token, and they've modeled some of the best things from the Cardano ecosystem and trying experiments of their own. So one of the things, Ben and Charles Hoskinson, founder of SingularityNet and Cardano, are good friends, and they speak fairly regularly. They have been on each other's stages at conferences and whatnot, and are of the collaborative mindset, which is really good, and both extremely intelligent humans, geniuses probably in their own right. So one of the things that Project Catalyst does is create an innovation fund for anybody in the world with a good idea who holds ADA to actually put their ideas forward for funding to build out that proposal, bring out their projects. So Ben and the team over at SingularityNet had the same, recognize a value in that, and so they have created the Deep Fund, which is an innovation fund again, that they're using to grow their ecosystem at pace. So actually using the community's ideas, funding them from the token that they've generated and the value that accrues with that, to actually get their projects built out and their ecosystem tooling built out at a faster pace. So with one of the projects on there that I've spoken about before is NTX. That is a an infrastructure project. So you building out the hardware layer that will run all these artificial intelligence engines and specializations. They want to have that in a decentralized fashion as well, so anybody can be running a node, earning from that network, and no one entity will control access to that network. So that's a really good ethos again as well. The deep fund, you can read about here. It's early days yet. We're only on fund 3, and the way that it's sort of developed is that a lot of the what I consider to be the best and deepest thinkers in Project Catalyst from the community side of things, who have not managed to secure repeat funding or an outlet for, or a recognition for some of their activities, have actually moved their thinking into deep fund, which seems to be far more, I mean, it's far smaller, far younger, lower budgets, less competitive, much more collaborative. They're able to put forward their ideas and are getting good traction in this community now, which is exciting to see, because often the way is that once any ecosystem starts to see success, then it does tend to gravitate towards centralization of resource, and success breeds success. So we've certainly in funds 9 and 10 in Catalyst, we've seen the largest projects, the existing ones, who do deserve additional funding, but they're the ones who have been able to attract the populace to actually give them the votes to get more funding. And so the direction of most of the funds in Catalyst is now upward towards those existing longer term projects that have been around, had success already, and repeating that success. And so we're trying to shake things up there, finding ways to actually ensure that Catalyst remains an innovation fund and not just becomes a maintenance fund for the large projects, large successful projects on who initially got funding from Catalyst. And so some of the ideas around new voting mechanisms are being tested out in a deeper way in deep funding. And if you are a holder of the AGIX token, you can participate as a voter in the deep fund. So might be worth just a quick look at the AGIX token. It's been around a decent while. It has got a fair amount of recognition. I've spoken about it a lot over the years, and you can see it's had an interesting journey. It started off extremely high, crashed, which all tokens did if they're not carefully managed in terms of launch. And it was bumbling around 0.04 for several years. Had a spike in 2021 when AI really started to take off. So they launched a token back in 2018. Ben was at the forefront of artificial intelligence development. It's been at it a long time, and so the maturity of their token is represented in that. They had an upsurge in 2021 with the sudden public recognition of artificial intelligence. Then of course we've had the bear market cycle come in, and they crashed. The start of this year they had a good pump again as ChatGPT really came to the fore, and then still the bear market affecting their token, bringing it downwards. So they're now sitting about 0.18, which is a good way up from their 0.02 from a couple of years ago. So an interesting token to look at. Certainly if they're the market cap, which is sitting at 222 million, all the other tokens in that sort of range tend to rise with the bull market. So I don't see any reason why their token won't do well in the coming bull, same as most other tokens will do as well. So one to have a look at if you haven't considered it before. And I particularly like the ethos behind it, as I said at the beginning. So the deep fund is up and running. We are in fund 3, and this is the portal for actually going in to carry out your votes. There's a bit of blurb to read. It's not the simplest in a voting system. We're yet to have a simple voting system in any project that I've been involved in. Deep Funds one is probably a step above again, because they're trying to introduce these alternative ways of measuring vote power. So in Cardano, your vote power is strictly tied to your ADA balance. So the more ADA you hold, the more your vote power is. And that is kind of a plutocratic system. For example, if you were running that in nation states, then the richest people will have the most votes, which is not something that most humans will want to see. We really like the one person, one vote in our nations. So it would be good to try and start to find ways to do that in the blockchain space as well, because governance and decision making amongst all these chains is crucial to its future direction. So if you're having voting mechanisms based purely on the amount of token you hold results in the amount of voting power you hold, then you're going to end up with the same problems that we see in our nation states. So Deep Fund are trying out some quadratic voting. So as everybody starts off with a decent level of vote power, if they hold the same amount, as the number of tokens you hold goes up, then the vote weight of the tokens diminishes the more you hold. So that means that the sort of pace difference between someone who holds this much and someone is growing their holdings and someone who's growing it extremely fast, then their actual vote power will stay more correlated, more evenly balanced, more distributed. So obviously, if you do hold more tokens, you still do have more vote power, but it's not as significant a difference as it would be in one ADA, one vote. AGIX is treating them differently. They're also trying to bring in some sort of things like reputation. So the wallets that have held AGIX for longer, that have participated in the ecosystem, so have voted in Fund 1, voted in Fund 2, voted in Fund 3, their vote power will actually be boosted by a factor as well. So the longer you've been around, the more you've stayed engaged with their ecosystem, the more your vote power will have. And I think that's a really interesting approach to take as well. And then also within each of their projects, proposals, you can actually assign a weight to how much you like that project or not. So if we were looking to the marketing initiatives category, we could see this is a project aiming to boost Singularity Net's presence in Vietnam, doing some research onto its adoption and whatnot. And so you can vote with a scale of 1 to 10 on this particular project. So if you want to vote for, you know, three out of the, how many proposals there are in here? 23 proposals. 3 out of the 23 proposals you actually rate, then you can give them, you know, scores anywhere between 1 and 10, depending on how much you like them or not. So I don't know, I haven't looked into the maths behind this, how it's going to actually work, how it's going to impact the outcomes. And so that's something that I have got referenced somewhere. This tab, there's a paper on the actual maths behind the voting mechanism, what will be tallied and how it will be tallied to a greater degree. So that range that you're choosing on, it's probably worth having a look at that first. But ultimately, it's really exciting to see some innovation taking place, some trials happening whilst they're still at a small scale. I think the total budget for it was, I'm not even sure what the balance was, the size of the fund was. In this fund, it tends to rise fund to fund. $75,000 in Fund 2. no tally on fund 3. Anyway, I'll have to come back to try and find it. So actually we can see here, it must be about 1.5 million, something like that. So 50,000 in marketing initiatives, 50,000 in the ideation phase. So these are really early ideas, no real plans, just some blue sky thinking, to do a bit of research probably in that section. Got $530,000 in the request for proposal. So these guys actually looking for serious funding, start building. New projects, 750,000, and tooling 150,000. So again, the way that they've split out the grouping of their proposals is quite sensible, because you do want to have new proposals funded differently to existing proposals. You want tooling and infrastructure separate to blue sky thinking. We're going to have people with ideas and ways to make money out of this, and you maybe want to put them in a different category to the guys who want to actually pay for sustaining this system. So all these ways are really good. So if you are interested in any of these in AGIX token itself, then I'd encourage you to look at this ecosystem as a whole again and consider whether it's worthwhile you putting a bit of time into reading and learning. And certainly I'll be voting in this phase. I hold some AGIX token. I bought it in the Ethereum days. I migrated it, bridged it over to Cardano. I'm holding that in wallet. I've been doing some yield farming with the AGIX I've held for the last year, probably. I don't hold a lot, so it's not making much, but I've now withdrawn that from the yield farm so that I can actually use it to vote, because they don't recognize your vote power when you've got your tokens tied up in smart contracts. So I think it's worth doing, having a look at. Voting, you'd have to jump in quick because the voting actually ends on the 8th, so that's on Sunday this week. And again, probably within this documentation, there'll be details on what the incentives are to be involved at any level, whether you could be involved as a voter and seek and gain incentives or not. I'm not sure, but yeah, certainly an interesting thing to look at and get involved with. Any questions on Singularity Net or the Deep Fund?
Yeah, Jonathan, I'm sort of like just trying to sort of understand this concept here. There's synonyms between ChatGPT and AI, I suppose, right? Because I think, and and so this singularity net's what you indicated is supposed to be in silo or like decentralized. But I thought like a ChatGPT or any those sort of AI concept is having repository of your data, and you extract the data, write data for when requested. So if it's in a silo, then how like how it would be complete with all the data they require.
Right. So yeah, not siloed in terms of data access, but their engine is siloed behind paywall. So you've got OpenAI, which started out as an open source initiative. They were looking, so they got industry leaders in to work on, to sit on the board and help guide the direction that the software development would go. And so Elon Musk was an early founder of OpenAI as a movement. He left because there was sort of disagreements in the approach, the direction that he was taking things. He also had kind of a significant rival artificial intelligence engine that was growing within the Tesla factories. The artificial intelligence used to do their self-driving is really powerful, and that's an example of a behind a paywall siloed artificial intelligence engine. So we don't have access to that capability. We don't know what it's capable of yet, its full extent of the power that's held within it. OpenAI then took their technology behind paywalls as well. So you can access ChatGPT 3.5 for free, but ChatGPT 4 and 4V, or you have to pay for. We don't have access to the source code. from Tesla or from OpenAI. We can't, try and reproduce it, start working on the software ourselves. So that's what I mean by siloed. Really, it's there's no access to that technology. It's in the hands of private individuals, private entities, private companies, and they are drip feeding it out to the rest of the world. The Singularity Net guys have got a different approach. They want their software all to be open source. They want to have people able to access and understand, trial new things, develop and grow and collaborate on the artificial intelligence, rather than it being, drip fed out. They'll actually control it. Well, thank you much. They won't control it. They will allow it to be used. So I think that's a healthy approach to build out something that is quite dangerous. Yeah. So does that make sense?
Yeah. No.
Yeah. And there are other people with the same sort of ethos as well. So another guy that I quite like, he's a guy behind Stable Diffusion, the text to image engine that's extremely powerful, but is also open sourced and available. So Al, I can't remember his surname. I can't even see his surname. No, not Al. Was it Al? I can't remember his name. Anyway, this guy. He's the guy behind Stability AI is his company, and their Stable Diffusion product, and they have several artificial intelligence models that they've released to the public. So you can just go and download the source code from GitHub and run it yourself, try out yourself. So a lot of the power of an artificial intelligence engine comes from its training, from the way the data it's fed and the way that it's improved, where that the response is improved. That feedback loop has found to be best done by humans, and so within Tesla and within OpenAI, you've got a whole lot of humans helping train the answers that we want to get out of the AI engines. The AI is fed all this data. You ask it questions, it gives you an answer, and you say, well, that's not the answer I really wanted. And it learns then to give you the answers that are really valuable to humanity. And so a lot of work's done in that. And really, that's the bit that I'm happy to be behind paywalls and to be siloed and to be in the hands of individual enterprises. But the underlying technology, the ability to create the engine itself in the first place, that should be in the hands of many. Because you can imagine an artificial intelligence engine being told what the right answer is in a dictatorship, in a country that is very in military industrial complex led. They'll have a very different agenda to a country or an artificial intelligence state that is looking at academic research and humanitarian causes and things like that. So you can train an AI to give you, or a different engine again that's just looking for the best economic outcome, how to accrue the most wealth for it. All these are ways of training the same underlying model and the same underlying tech. And so that underlying tech should be available to everyone to use it in these various different ways. Because if we don't, then we just end up with people using it for the wrong means and no way of the rest of the world having no way of defending against that sort of unique advantage. So having that open source layer is crucial in my mind.
I had opportunity to work with AI a while ago. In fact, it was like nearly 6-7 years ago, and that was from IBM. They've got IBM Watson.
Oh yeah.
And that's the commercial AI they were developing. That was like nearly, I think, 6-7 years ago. They were developing already, and my company try to purchase from them AI to install in our whiteboard. So so that meetings are recorded, and then like this, and then he can basically extract the information of past meeting whenever required. So I think that was more sort of commercial aspect that was developed by IBM. I think it still exists. Yeah, we had that was very expensive at the time. I'm talking 5, 6 years ago. Yeah.
Wow, very cool. Yeah, and certainly we saw a lot of early AI, particularly in that realm of meetings, improving meetings, and research tools, and I kind of think of the first attempt at AI that was massively popular was the incredibly annoying Clippy from Microsoft, which is that stupid little paperclip that would pop up as an animation on your screen and say, "It looks like you're trying to write a letter." And then it would suggest terrible chunks of text to put into your letter. Absolutely turned me off. But since then it moved on an awful long way. The abilities of ChatGPT 3.5, even, which is free and open access, is phenomenal. A massively powerful tool to you can feed it huge amounts of white papers, thick, dense academic text, and ask it to write a paragraph or two for you, as though teaching translating that for a 14-year-old, and suddenly you've got something that I can understand and absorb really rapidly, and what this dense white paper is trying to get at. So a really good research tool, and that sort of ability is great, but should be in the hands of the many rather than in the hands of the few. So some of the early adopters have done us a great favor. I'm just trying to find this interview with the stability guy, Stable Diffusion. Maybe I'll find that, because that's probably worth a listen if you're thinking about different approach to governance of artificial intelligence. Diffusion, thing is, I can't find his name. Still not coming up. I'm sure he had an interview with Lex. Oh god, I'm gonna have to come back, dig out and drop it onto the chats afterwards. But yeah, there we go. But so, yeah, Stable Diffusion is a phenomenal tool as well. If you haven't seen it, of course, it's a few generations older now, so not so dramatic. But yeah, its abilities are great, and you can jump on it and start using it for free.
Sorry.
You can feed, no problem. You can feed it prompts and produce images like this. So you think you can start to apply this in your workflow. If you're putting out a advertising campaign, you can feed it text, and it will generate an image and give you a whole range of them that you could then use in your promotional materials or anything like that. And describing, just creating the words that will then create an image is a skill that you can grow over time. But right off the bat, you can actually produce some really incredible images just from a few basic prompts. So yeah, if you haven't had a play with some of these tools, just go and have a play, because it'll start to blow your mind. And in fact, while we're on AI, Luca dropped a link this morning in the crypto hour that was worth a look, that I haven't actually played with yet, called Claude.ai, and this is a straight rival to ChatGPT. So and an open access free to use.
Sorry, did he say it was from Google, or was it open source, or was it? I think Luca means something to Google from Google. I may be wrong.
Google's
Uh,
bad, isn't it? Their
Yeah, that's
system.
right. Yeah. Google is bad, but also I think Luca this morning said cloud and something. I may be wrong. I may misheard it. He said Google as well some sort of association with cloud. So maybe I may be wrong.
maybe I didn't catch that. I don't remember that. But certainly Bard is the
Yeah.
Microsoft one. Google has oh dear, I've forgotten its name now. But yeah, everybody is working on an AI engine. And these smaller teams like Stability and these guys will crop up more and more frequently because some of the technology is being open sourced, like all the stability AI stuff has been open sourced, so you can go in and produce rival products now. So yeah, what is the team behind this? Can't actually see an easy way of finding that out. Yeah, don't know who they are, where they're based, but looking big. So anyway, let's have a look at there. So Claude, looks like you need to register. So again, people do put stuff behind a data wall. If it's not a paywall, so they're not looking for your money straight off the bat, then they're looking for your data. So you are giving them access to things, so you make use of these tools. And I run a business, so I understand the need for that. But bear it in mind. Long term, we want to move to a point where you're never handing your email over to an app like this. What you would do is just connect your identity wallet, and then it would prompt you for the data that it wants to have access to and what you'll get in return. And then you will allow it access from your end of things. And then whenever you're finished with it, or at any point in your relationship with them, you can just switch it off from your end, rather than having to go to them and saying, can you give me my data back or delete my data? You'll just be able to turn off their access to it. That's a far more sensible way of managing data, because with the current system where you hand your data over to all these individual stakeholders, that's how you end up with ridiculous laws like GDPR coming in and trying to protect us and ruining our lives. Because frankly, I find it extremely tedious going to websites now and having to click accept cookies or trying to figure out how on earth I reject the cookies. And that's a direct result of people trying to do a favor for us by regulating, but regulating in a really bad, really poor way, and just ruining the experience. So the price we're paying for that is far greater than it should be. Now the technology with blockchain in particular and decentralized identities is here. We can actually grant access to the data, but still retain sovereignty over it, still hold it ourselves. We just then choose how much we release access to it, and then withdraw it whenever we want to. It's a way to ensure that we're not spammed, we're not fed viruses, we're not confronted with blocks of legalese that we'll never read and then sign our souls away to sell our future children away for the sake of playing with an artificial intelligence meme generator, because that's what we're doing these days. Anyway, so yeah, you can go play with Claude. That's probably worth a look as well. I'll certainly be having a play with it later today.
Yeah.
Okay, that covers the AI. Picking up on your earlier question, Carol, about a starter and where that's at, and are you doing everything you need to do? So a starter have got their team developing things at the moment. So they're working hard on the building. They haven't actually had their token generation event, which is what we were investing in. So they offered their token available at pre-launch, so you could go in and buy their token early for hopefully vastly reduced price. There's always a risk that it's not when it comes to market. It's actually you bought it at a premium, but either way, you're recognize the viability and future potential of their project and their token, and so you buy in advance to get it at a an early price. And then there are also benefits, fringe benefits that come from that as well, one of which is that we can earn additional amount of that token by staking with I can't remember how many pools it is now, 20 or so stake pools. So they had their own stake pool and they had community pools contribute. Fluid Pool is one of those, and so by staking with Fluid Pool, you're actually earning additional AA tokens above and beyond the ones that you bought at pre-launch, just by staking with Fluid Pool. So their mechanism they're using for that is unique to the A Starters project. They've called it merged staking, and depending on how much ADA you've got staked with the pool, and how much AA token you may have bought at pre-launch or not, that will determine how much AA token you earn throughout this waiting phase before the actual token generation event. So the token event was scheduled for back in March, but with the extremely steep decline of crypto, certainly from the end of last year and carrying on again into this summer, they've decided it wasn't really sensible time to try and do a token launch, because effectively the people who bought in at the pre-launch would then be launching a token in a bear market, and so the token price would likely just drop, and so you would see our investments drop straight off. So they've held back on the token generation event and just got into building instead. So they are working on their decentralized exchange, which is coming along very nicely. They've actually got a public beta going on now. So they've had several rounds of private betas, which we've been invited to and had access to. Now they're onto a public beta, so everyone is now open to try that out. And the most exciting thing that they've just launched or just released as an additional feature on this DEX now is they are now letting you connect with, of course, Cardano native wallets like Eternal, but now you can also connect with your with the Exodus wallet. So Exodus is a Exodus is a multi-chain wallet. So all these other ones, these are all Cardano-based wallets, and then Exodus is an actual proper full-blown third-party wallets, third-party developers that does support Cardano. And now you can, if you're using that wallet, for example, I use it to store Bitcoin whenever I buy and hold a Bitcoin. I've also used it to hold Tron when I'm engaged in the Tron network. So Exodus is very powerful in that regard, in that you can use it as a fully self-sovereign wallet. So you're not, you're holding your seed phrase. You're not giving your tokens over to a centralized exchange to look after. You're actually holding them yourself. You're responsible again. But it also can operate multi-chain, so you can interact with Cardano, with Ethereum, with Bitcoin, with Tron, with all these other myriad of chains. So it's very useful in that regard. And so being able to now interact with the Exodus wallet from the A Starter Cardano-based DApp, decentralized application, is a really big win for the ecosystem. And I think so far it's the first project I've seen that actually interact with a multi-chain wallet. So really good to see them taking the lead in the technology. So that's a good indicator for the future of the project, and also the fact that they're able to build despite the bear market, despite their token generation event not happening. They're not earning, or they're not making their money from pumping the price of their token, because they don't even have a token yet. They're doing it from additional, other means of generating cash. So that's really good to see, because certainly we've had projects even in the Cardano space now, who have come in, launched tokens, attracted a whole load of investment. The biggest, highest profile one of those projects is Ardana. They gathered something like $10 million worth of investment, went away, started building, did some things, but most of that technology remained unbuilt, unfinished. And then the project ran out of money, said they weren't going to build anymore, and anything related to that project has effectively gone to zero. So, really painful for the people putting money in. $10 million is a lot of money to give away. A significant chunk of that was from Project Catalyst. And it turns out that the founder was just far too young to be having that much money sitting in his control. So he was effectively, a teenager given $10 million. Whose fault is it? Really, that's bad control, economic fund control from our point of view, from all the investors' point of view, and too much responsibility for any one individual to hold, let alone a young man who was not responsible yet. Until you hit the age of 27, you're not really set. You're not really, particularly in the male half of the species. I think this is true. You're not really in a place where you actually understand the gravity of responsibility in life long term. You're far more gung ho. You're more likely to go to war. You're more likely to risk everything for the sake of something small. So if your wallet is full of $10 million, you're going to make mistakes. And he did invest in tokens that were, with investor funds, he invested in tokens that he thought would do well, and nobody knew how they would do, really, because that's the way that the crypto space is. And so he lost a load of money, ran out of funds far too early for what they promised, and couldn't pay his team, so couldn't carry on. So do watch out for, this is why it's important to do due diligence and research on all the projects. As a good token alternative, A-Starter stands out in being a project that is not quick to market. They've kept the growth of their technology development, their technology slow, but they've kept it public. They've not done a token generation event because they don't want to see a pump and dump of their initial token launch. And they are, they've got serious backing from Emergo, which is one of the founding entities of Cardano. And they're, it's a much less exciting, more mature approach to building out technology. So in that regard, I'm happy for the delays, if you can ever be happy for delays, I'm happy for it. So yeah, that's an update on A-Starter. And so in terms of accruing their AA token, if you are delegated to Fluid Pool, then you are accruing AA token as well, which is going to be a nice bonus when that does actually come around again, which will probably be so some of my speculation over the months have been around whether they're delaying the launch based on because they're related to Emergo. Emergo have been working on the USDA stable coin, which is a stable coin is the cornerstone really of any of the total value locked in any particular chain. So if you really want to be able to interact with an ecosystem, you need to have a way of taking your funds away from volatile coins, putting them into a stable coin that is pegged to the reserve token, whatever that is at the time. At the moment, it's US dollar. So if you can put your higher risk speculative or your trading returns into a stable coin, then that's a sensible way to approach things, because that the price fluctuation on those is going to be far less than on your investment coins. And in Cardano, we've only really started having stable coins this year, and USDA is one of the most significant ones because it's going to try to be a fiat-backed stable coin, so it will actually have dollars in the bank for every USDA on chain. Emergo are the entity responsible for bringing that to market, and they have delayed because of the SEC's actions earlier this year over the regulation of stablecoins. They actually started to come after Tether and Circle's USDC, calling them securities, which is kind of baffling in and of itself. But yeah, if they get regulated as securities, then you're starting then to, instead of just having dollars and the equivalent of dollars in your account, you're actually holding an investment vehicle that's then prone to regulation and taxes and all the rest of it. So they're holding off the USDA until the regulators are actually more clear in what it means to be regulated, because they do want to be regulated. And I suspect that was delaying the generation event for the AA token as well, because USDA, run by Emergo, will provide a lot of liquidity to the DEX platform, so the DEX won't launch, and the DEX really needs AA token to launch. Doesn't need it. They could launch just with ADA quite easily, but I think they probably want AA tokens as well as USDA when they launch the DEX. So they've been slow and steady.
That's good. Well, thanks for the update.
No problem. So we will see things start to happen certainly next, start of next year is my current feeling. I don't know if we're going to see a generation event this year, but saying that, we're already seeing a bump in the in Bitcoin, and all the altcoins are coming up as well. So maybe the bear market started already. Who knows? A starter, yes. So Extra's wallet's now integrated. So one other thing that I wanted to have, which is a bit more niche, I have actually mentioned it in the past, but if you are looking at ways to interact and just to try out your skills, play with things within blockchain, and you're looking for a safe place to do that, then I would recommend having a look at Cardano Pick, which is a community-built project by a stake pool operator, and he wanted ways for people to know about, to interact with the blockchain, but not having to be a developer to do so. So he's gathered a whole load of various things you can do, some of them for fun, some of them useful, some of them learning, some of them just interacting with tools and getting an understanding of dApps. He's gathered a whole load of different ways you can interact with the blockchain that require very few technical skills, and you can go through and accrue sort of reputation points from doing this. Those reputation points don't actually mean anything as of yet, but you never know, down the road they could come in handy. And so this is a way to find things to do. So for example, you could share a file securely via Vault 3. So then the question comes up, well, what's Vault 3? And that then starts you down your research. We can go and have a look at Vault 3, find out what they're about. Looks like it's a file storage mechanism. So you can actually do file sharing by uploading files and giving people a URL to access them. By doing this, you're actually interacting with Web3 because the storage mechanisms behind it are probably based on JSTOR or Filecoin or one of these decentralized storage networks. The one that I've talked about most in the Cardano space is Iagon. That's a storage mechanism similar to this, mostly for use by applications. So NFT projects want to store their media files offline, they can put them into Iagon. And there are decentralized network infrastructure. So again, a bit like NTX is for artificial intelligence infrastructure, Iagon will be for file storage infrastructure. So you've got to connect your wallet, so you can actually connect your wallet to the website, and that's when you get to play with a dApp connector, seeing what it's like if you've got Eternal Wallet, what it looks like to actually connect to a website. And then the website can prompt you to sign transactions, or here, this isn't actually a paying transaction. This is just to recognize you or you acknowledging the Vault website and having a unique identifier on there so that they can say, this is who you are. A bit like a sort of a low-key decentralized identity. You're actually using your wallet as your identity, your payment wallet. And so you can connect, sign this transaction, no fees, don't pay any transaction fees or anything. You're just signing this message with your wallet, and then you'll be able to interact with that website, upload files, and then just share them with other people. So that's one thing you can do. And then once you do come back to Cardano Pick, if you connect your wallet to here, then you'll get a reputation point for having carried out that skill. And so there's then all these little steps you can go through. There's a video to watch from WADA. I've covered that. I bought that film. It's an NFT based film. So you can actually support project teams in Africa by watching their documentary. So you can pay a small snippet and actually get to see a video that is being launched at film festivals and so forth before launch. You can connect your wallet to a mailbox with, I imagine this is Ada Mail. Yeah, Ada Mail. So this is an innovation. Actually, I can't remember if I covered this or not, but you can actually now go to Ada Mail dot something dot no, that's not it. Shouldn't click links just at random, Jonathan. You know better. Let's go via there's adamail.me. That's the one. So this is a way to actually get access to a mailbox by connecting your wallet to it, and then your stake address becomes your email address. So suddenly then anybody who knows your stake address can send you an email without you ever actually revealing your identity to them. So it's a sort of a way to have a mailbox that you're happy to receive emails from certain entities. So for example, if you were what I can do as a stake pool operator, because you've staked with my pool, I can see a list of all my delegators from pool.pm, and this is public information, so we can go on to Blockchain Explorer. I can see all these wallets are staked with Fluid Pool. I can jump into one and see the contents of their wallet, and I can take their stake key, and I can now just send an email to that address at adamail.me. So in my normal email program, I can send an email to that address, and if that person has set up a mailbox on here, they will receive an email into it. So that could be a really powerful way of, for example, a stake pool operator like me sending an email to all the people who delegate to their pool. And so I could send in special offers or ways to get extra token rewards, or run surveys by emailing all my delegators. And the ones that want to receive emails can go in and pick them up. And so that's a really anonymous way of interacting with delegators, because I don't know who half the people are who stake to me. I can see their wallet activity and maybe deduce some things from that, but I don't, until you tell me who you are, I don't really know who you are. But this way I could actually send emails to everybody who I'm interested in, and if they pick it up and read it, then that's a way of me interacting with them. So
sorry, John, how do I get email then? Are you sort of like, do the email pop in a wallet or in some sort of email box?
So it looks like they're down at the moment. I was just going to show you, talk you through it. So yeah, they've got a server problem. That's annoying. And also a bit embarrassing, but there you go. These things happen for everybody sometimes. So Ada Mail has an application. So you would launch the app. I can't show you because it's down, but then you would connect your wallet, and it will have a webmail interface. So like you would for Google Mail or something from your website provider, perhaps, you'll just have access to webmail. That anybody that sends an email to your stake address at adamail.me will show up in that mailbox. You're the only one who can actually access that mailbox, because you need your wallet to be able to log into it. So you don't log in with an email address or a password or anything like that. You log into that mailbox using your wallet. So by connecting your wallet, you can then see what the contents of that mailbox are, and nobody else in the world can. So you haven't given over any personal information. They're not holding your email address or your password. You know, they haven't got your Gmail address or your Facebook account or your Google login. They just know that this wallet has said they want to see the contents of this mailbox, and so they showed it to them. Unless you hold unless you're able to sign transactions with that wallet, which means that you hold the seed phrase, which means you hold the keys to that wallet, then nobody can access that wallet other than you, that mailbox. So a really innovative way of interacting with applications now that don't require handing over your data. So it's hard to get your head around, isn't it? But very, very powerful. The shame it's not working, because that would have been good to show you. I'll do it next week if this doesn't come back online.
Jonathan, it says on that website, it says launch app. So is it like a mobile app as well?
It's just a web app, so you can run it from on your mobile phone, but it will run within the browser. So
right.
Yeah, they don't have a. I mean, yeah, that's probably the next step, is actually to create a mail client that will connect directly with a wallet. So you'd have, like, you've got the Gmail app on your phone. You could also have the AdaMail app on your phone,
Yeah.
and then just use your DApp connector to allow the wallet to talk to it. But yeah, that's not here yet. Maybe it's coming. This literally popped up from nowhere, appeared a couple of months ago, and has had a large amount of adoption. The two teams behind it who've built it are really, I've spoken about them in the past. IMX are a very good decentralized identity provider. Been building out DIDs on Cardano for a couple of years. nMaker are the largest NFT platform, generation platform. So you can actually run if you wanted to create NFTs to run a mint yourself, you'd use the nMaker tool set. And Patrick Tobler is one of the OGs in the Cardano space. He got Catalyst funding, Fund 1, I think, to start building out this technology while he was still a student. And he's now, high profile. He was invited to speak at the World Economic Forum, and he's at all the conferences and things like that. A really good guy as well. And he runs the nMaker team. So these two collaborated, built out AdaMail in a short space of time. So technologically, it was not too challenging to build. But in terms of innovation, it's a really good idea, and they implemented it rather than just talked about it. Yeah, very powerful to use. So I'll maybe start making use of that down the road. One of the features they've got going already is that you can use your ADA handle. So if you've ever bought a ADA handle, which is like a short handle for your wallet address. So instead of having your long receive address and giving that to someone to pay you, you can just give them your handle. So I have one for Fluid 7. So if you wanted to send money to Fluid 7 in your wallet, you can actually just, instead of putting in ADDR1 string of long characters, you can actually just put in Fluid 7 and send money to Fluid 7, and it will come to my wallet. and you can buy your own ADA handle, so you can have whatever you want. Yeah, and now that ADA handle exists and ADA mail exists, they've integrated so that you can actually send an email to fluid7@adamail.me, and it would turn up in my Fluid7 wallet inbox. So if you want to send an email to my wallet or send money to my wallet, you can send an email to fluid7@adamail.me or have funds to Fluid7 using Cardano wallet. So again, we're starting to reduce the complexity of interacting with the blockchain space, make things more user-friendly, a bit more understandable for people who've been using the internet and Web 2 for decades now.
So
we are
what is
getting
it? Is it fluid7@adamail.me for your email?
Yes, it is.
So if I was to send it from my Google Mail, Gmail, you'd get that, would you, as a test?
Yeah, I would have to. So for example, I'd go into my wallets. I don't have that one connected, but I've got the staked ADA one here. So if I had a handle in this wallet, so again, you look at the token list, and I don't think I've got any ADA handles here, but so the ADA handle sits in your wallet as an NFT. Actually, I did have one that's similar, but not actually launched yet. Jonathan, maybe it's not in this wallet. Okay, so I can't actually show you one, but it would sit in your wallet as an NFT. So like one of these, for example. So yeah, so in fact, yeah, this one, fluid.ada, is a similar sort of thing, but it's for an actual web domain, Web3 domain, rather than a wallet handle. But that now is, I own that fluid.ada. So eventually we'll be able to just go to fluid.ada in your web browser and it would show up as my website. But that's actually a Web3 address rather than a Web2 address. Probably digging
Yes,
into a
it's
hole
a
here.
big transition, isn't it? And I can't get my head around how we're going to move to that direction, really, because it's just not available yet to set up your website in that area. But
no,
anyway.
I'm diverging away from your question a bit, Dinesh, but I will get back to it. So for example, you can go to surf.fluid. I think it's surf.fluid.ada, or is it ada. All the way around. Fluid.ada. Surf, I think it is. Maybe. Yeah, I think that's it. I don't actually have anything on the site yet. Or is it still loading? Yes, there we go. So at the moment I've just got a redirect. so I've got the Web3 ADA domain, but until the browsers and the DNS system actually start to translate .ada into an IP address, then we won't be able to just access our ADA domains, our Web3 domains. But that is coming. So Brave, you can switch it on to be able to accept Web3 domains. And so, for example, you just saw me go from fluid.ada.surf. The .surf is a Web2 domain. And so that is able to translate just without me doing anything more. Not, in any browser, you can go to fluid.ada.surf and it will turn up at my website now. What's coming next is fluid.ada. So the .ada part will actually be translated into websites. So you then just have to go to fluid.ada in your browser. But that step hasn't happened yet. What has happened in Brave, because another Web3 domain is actually .crypto. So I think this will work in Brave now. You can go to fluid7.crypto. And you allow the interpretation of .crypto domains into Web2 domains to work with a browser. And you actually have to specify a node to do that translation for you. So let's try, see if a public one will work. No, I'd have to pick a third party one to do that. Can I do it from within Brave? It's actually popped up. It's trying to install software. Windows soft. Oh, I am on Windows. That's right. I've forgotten that. I'm using Windows for this call because Zoom is broken on Linux for the moment. So yeah, you're actually still having to install separate software to get it to work. But once you install that software, then Brave browser will actually accept .crypto domains, and also let me go back. I think there was a list of it somewhere, wasn't there? No, it's gone. So .dao will start working as well. There's a whole load of new domains that are coming along that are all crypto or blockchain related, will then suddenly start working in all the browsers. And so we're waiting for the browsers to catch up with the development in Web3. So we're not quite there yet, but it is coming. And so you can now already buy your Web3 assets that will then give you that place in the future. But you're speculating on it, on that technology, that branch technology being adopted. So the fluid.ada domain is different to my Ada handle, which is different to your Ada mail me address. But all these things are they're like the bridges between the Web2 world, where you're handing over all your data, to the Web3 world, where actually you're retaining access to it yourself and control of it, and you can turn that on and off whenever you want. So yeah, it's coming. It's just we're waiting for all the major technology providers to catch up. And so back to your question, Dinesh, yeah, you can go into a mobile app down the road. At the moment, it's all just web-based. Just check it again, see if it's not fixed itself. No, that would be no good anyway.
I've just sent you a test message from my Gmail to your adamail.me.
Nice, cool. Well, I will go and try and pick it up. I can't remember. So yeah, to interact with that app, I would go to my Eternal wallet. I would switch on my DApp connector, this button here, and then when I go to it, I would get the same prompts as like we saw on these other websites. So I wanted to connect my wallet. No, where do we go? We were looking at Vault, weren't we? So this Vault has this connect button, and so I would connect a wallet. It would ask me to sign a transaction, and now I'm interacting with that wallet to the app, and the app will change its interface accordingly. But because AdaMail's down, I can't show you the next step. But it will be the same on any of these dApps. So instead of logging in, instead of putting in a password, email address, username, password, two-factor authentication with your phone, all that sort of stuff, you'll just have to say, I'm allowing my wallet to talk to this website, and then you'll have access to these tools that you can then just switch off whenever you want. So a real shift in control, which is coming. Be exciting.
But the AdaMail web page showing me you pay some kind of a subscription for the AdaMail. So it's 100 Ada for a year, 150 Ada for 1 year with additional facilities, and 500 Ada for 5 gigs. Yeah, that's the one. so you do have
Yeah.
to pay for.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not a free service. I mean,
Mhm.
it is in that you can go in and so effectively what's happening in the background is they've set up mail servers. They are receiving emails to stake addresses that are tied, that correlate with real addresses on the blockchain. But you can't go in and access them until you've bought the NFT that will sit in your wallet to allow you to talk to your mailbox. So I can connect my wallet to Ada Mail. If I don't have an NFT that's valid, then I can't really read what's in that mailbox yet. But as soon as I have the NFT in my wallet, then I can talk to it. So I bought a base pass for 100 ADA, and that will give me my stake address at Ada Mail as well as my Ada handle at Ada Mail, and that will last for a year. The gold pass will be for a year, but you get more storage, and you also get an alias, so you can then create your own email address at adamail.me. So you could have Carol G at adamail.me or Dinesh at adamail.me, which isn't then related to an Ada handle or anything like that. You don't have to have another NFT. It's just whatever you want, and that's then your email address, as well as your stake key, as well as if you have an Ada handle too. And then the larger package gives you a decent amount of storage, and 5 gigabytes, which is sort of on a par with Gmail's offering, and all these, and you can multiple aliases, and then they'll be releasing out new features as they come. But the real problem with a lot of the apps that are launching at the moment is that they've got no revenue streams to actually pay for it. And so to actually run a whole load of mail servers that are capturing all this mail is expensive. It's very expensive to run infrastructure, thousands of pounds a month probably. And so when that is unfunded, there's no revenue streams for it. You can only do it for so long before your money runs out and you have to shelve. So they've gone right from the beginning saying, yes, this needs to be a paid service. We are not Google. We're not relying on advertising revenues to fund our business. We're actually providing utility that gives you autonomy, self-sovereignty over your data, over your access to your emails. And in return for that, we do need to be paid. You won't be paying in data, you'll be paying in tokens. And so you're then, again, this is an important transition to make. At the moment, we have access to a whole load of free stuff, and we see it as free because we're not paying for it directly. In reality, we are, because just like Luca was talking about earlier, every time you pay for something with your credit card, somebody is paying a fee for that. In most cases, you're not paying it with your card as a transaction fee. It's not sitting on the price tag on the shelf. You'll pay the same amount in cash as you will with your credit card, but the retailer is paying a fee on every transaction. So what the retailer has done is put up his prices so that he can pay the credit card fees. And so everybody's prices have gone up 2% or something since the adoption of credit cards. And so what you pay in cash and what you pay with your credit card now is actually 2% higher than it needs to be, because there's this whole middle layer, Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, all this technology layer that's necessary, but it's being used to increase the convenience. So you're paying for convenience. In the web world, every time you use Google, which you kind of need Google to use the web. It's very hard to find websites without having access to Google. You are paying for it in data. You've given Google your email. They have access to your phone if you're an Android user. They've got all your contacts. They are feeding you adverts on their website and their apps. In fact, every other app you use is probably using the Google advertising network. And so any advertise you're seeing in a game you're playing on your phone, or billboards now as well, they're all generating ad revenue that's going to Google, that is then paying for all the servers that allow you to search. And so you are paying in data for access to those services. And the people that are paying in cash are the advertisers. So people who need to get in front of you as an advertiser, a small business who needs you to see them in some way, will pay for an advert. And so that's the way we're paying for it as a whole. And so, the advertisers, the small businesses are having to put their prices up on their services to be able to pay for the advertising reach, which then Google are getting their cut off as well. And so all these things are being paid for in some way, shape, or form. You may not feel like it because you're not paying in cash out of your bank, but it's coming back to you in cash out of your bank in terms of price rises, inflation, access to your data being sold off to third parties. And your data is really, really valuable. And we saw that in the elections, particularly around Brexit, Britain leaving the EU. There was a whole load of coercion, mass manipulation of the adverts that were being sent to people on Facebook. And so, then you're being coerced into voting a particular way by people who have an agenda, have money, and who have access to that advertising mechanism. And so, you're paying for it in one way, shape, or form, in freedom or cash, you choose. And so the Web3 world is now trying to move us away from that. It's like, okay, let's get it back to, let's remove the middlemen. You're paying peer-to-peer. The service provider, the small business who's offering the service, is being paid directly by you with cash, with tokens, effectively. They're not getting access to your data indefinitely. They're not putting their prices up to pay for it and try and give you it for free elsewhere. They are saying, yes, pay for the services, and you'll have access to it. And it's a nice clean cut thing again. It's like the old school days of taking your pocket money and buying sweets at the corner shop. That's exchange of goods. Made you feel really good and happy about it, and nobody else knew about that transaction other than you two. And that's kind of what we want to get back to. So they're up front. This is a paid service. Come in and pay for your email, and you'll get full autonomy over your data, and you can have it for as long as you're able to pay for it. And that's that's what we need to get back to across a whole lot of different things. And that's going to be a massive hurdle to get over. People starting to realize, actually, we're being robbed from. If I start paying for it directly, then I get to retain my freedom. And so, moving to that model is what they've done, and I respect them for it. Because this service will have longevity. If they get to the point where they're drawing these revenues, then that means that they can stay around and keep operating without, being coerced. And you get your service indefinitely for free. So with Gmail, you're paying for it in terms of advertising. In this service, you won't be. So everything's got a long-term thinking behind it. And the fundamentals of decentralization hold true in the projects that I try and talk to you about. Just looking through this list of skills you can pick up, tasks you can try out in this Cardano Pick website. Most, I haven't looked at them all, so I don't look in detail, but most of these are sort of projects that I've spoken about in the past, pointed out to you, like Book.io, an e-reader for NFT books. Very, very, that's a huge project, growing rapidly, getting mass public adoption already. So, valuable token. Their token sales ended now, by the way, so you can't get in now, but that was open for a good few months. So you can only buy it from exchanges now, but these are the little projects that are good to go on. So if you're as part of your education journey, then I'm very happy to recommend you going on here and trying out some of these little tasks. And the important thing to get to grips with is, what am I signing when that transaction window pops up? Is it actually putting, am I transacting with ADA on here? Is it asking me to spend some money, or is it just a, signing something? And that's a skill that you'll learn and grow by trying some of these things out. And any questions, any hesitations you have, just don't do it. Come and ask me either on the Discord server or on one of these calls. I'm very happy to talk through the opportunities, the risks, the whether it's something worth doing or not, and how to go about it safely. Good. Well, that covers all the topics I've got noted. Any questions on any of that, or are you
No.
brains full? Good. Well, that's 11 o'clock. We've done our, in my local time, we've done our hour and a half. Thank you for coming again. Thank you for being persistent and keep coming. Oh, I haven't been checking I need to remember to start making one of you co-hosts so you can let people in that come up, because I do get one track minded and don't see the anybody that gets kicked out and tries to get in later or anything like that. So I'll start doing that maybe next week. But yeah, thank you for coming. Hope you all have good weeks.
Thank you,
Thanks so much indeed. Cheers, man.
Yeah.
Take care.
I'll see you next week. All right. Cheers.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
bye.